Welcome to our podcast, the In the Valley podcast. This is our third episode. I hope y'all enjoyed the past two, and I'm Ethan Harkness.
I'm Colin Mach.
I'm Christian Dagostino.
I'm Brandon Studebaker.
I'm Keith Pulaski.
I'm Trey McCardle.
And today, our topic for our roundtable is about disabled sports and how social media is involved in that. And we have a very special guest towards the end of it, so stay tuned for that. So, just jumping right into here. Uh, how do y'all see social media and the use of it to help legitimize the disabled sports or help give it credibility?
I think it's hard because obviously, most people don't tune in to watch like a wheelchair event. I feel like most of the audience that gets captured by that are people with disabilities that may have an understanding of it or more of the technical aspect of it. So I think there's a lot of room for the advertisement and social media and diving into that type of subject. I think there's a lot of room to improve that and to broaden the horizon to maybe reach people that it didn't previously reach.
I would say like that it allows them to go viral. I feel like in a lot of instances, like to when they're showing just like how athletic they are, even with their disabilities. Like I've seen like blind runners running like with somebody that can see, and like they'll go viral for like their abilities, even though they're disabled.
I think it definitely brings up the value of when a disabled athlete makes such a crazy thing happen. Like it makes it even more impressive. So like you're saying, the virality of it, I don't know if that would be a word, but like if a dude with one arm hits a hole in one on
Yeah.
a golf course, then you're like, oh my gosh, like that's way more impressive than even somebody with two arms hitting a hole in one. Regardless.
Yeah, I was thinking about how they put on like during, especially like you think about how the Olympics and the Paralympics just went down, how they almost advertised at the same level the Paralympics. Like how I remember they they were talking about the wheelchair, not the wheelchair, the seated hockey, how just like the women's and the men's final was USA and Canada, they also had that as USA and Canada. I remember seeing a big thing, and they called it seated rivalry. So I think having those where it was like they have they kind of put it in the same, they kind of grouped them all into that same advertisement and how they like promote it, especially on social media.
I think one thing that would be good, like from a promotion standpoint, is for people to understand the rules a little bit better. Because I think some handicap sports have different rules. At least I know with like tennis, they'll show clips of like when they play in the majors. And it in normal tennis, like obviously it can only bounce once and then you have to hit it, or it's a concession. But in wheelchair tennis, you can let it bounce twice. And that like totally caught me off guard because I saw a clip of this like crazy rally. I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. Like that point should have been over a long time ago.
Yeah.
And it caught me off guard. So I think if more people were educated, it might make it more interesting or potentially hit people that didn't originally want to watch.
Mm. To kind of go off that, like I think it just like the whole it's a basically like when like it comes down to like Paralympics, it's a different sport. Like it's a completely like different way to look at it because obviously they can't play the sport the exact same due to some disabilities. So I think a lot of people either just get confused of just kind of how to keep track of what the rules are, those kind of deals. But I think it shouldn't take away from how like impressive it is. They are still athletic. I mean, I still
It
think,
might even be more impressive.
yeah, it might be more impressive because they have to battle not just something that they can't control, whether that's any kind of disability, but they also have to battle the actual like legitimacies of the sport they're playing as well. So it's probably 10 times harder than it already is.
Yeah.
And do y'all think social media is more key in disabled sports to just connect the athletes to fans and just give them let allow the fans to see like what actually happens?
I would
I
almost
think
say,
that go
you
ahead,
go
Colin, go
ahead.
ahead.
Oh, well, I was gonna say I would almost say no because I feel like something with like disabled sports is something that I feel like you'd be able to make so much more of a connection if you were like able to be there in person and witness it and like feel it for yourself. Like like my high school, they did like a Special Olympics. I'm sure like maybe like y'all's schools, like did something similar. And like the whole school would like go and like watch like some like the special needs kids like they would like play basketball against each other and always be like fun to like coach them or like like cheer them on. But yeah, I feel like being able to like watch something like that or like like wheelchair basketball or like like I've seen like videos of like those like people that run track and field with like no legs and stuff. I feel like being able to like see it in person would be like way more hands on than seeing it on social media.
What do you
I
think
think
like
that like main social media companies, whether it be like the NBA or ESPN or Barstool or Bleacher Report, like the main big companies could do a better job of marketing those games as well. Like it's hard. I don't want to say it's hard, but like it's almost like the NBA and the WNBA. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
there's significantly less followers on the WNBA versus the NBA social medias. And I'm sure there's significantly less followers from a handicap or Paralympic perspective than regular tournament or sport. So I think it could almost be combined to broaden
Hmm.
the audience because if a clip of some guy in the Paralympics doing something crazy was only posted on the Paralympic pages and no other place was allowed to post it, it would get significantly less viewing than if like a ESPN or any of the main sports services were to post it, and get that athlete more recognition to do that. I think that would be a really great thing to do.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Cause like you don't like I really haven't seen any like mainstream media is like promoting the disability sports. I feel
Yeah.
like it's not
Mm.
as like I guess expressed as main sports.
Yeah. I mean, to kind of like piggyback off what like Colin said, like I feel like to kind of like mix like what Christian and Colin talked about, if they're posting more like onto the mainstream media and talking about it more, that can help provide a gateway to people that might clear up maybe like whatever is stopping them. Because I mean, at the end of the day, it is a different sport, so it's hard for people to kind of just be like, oh, let me just jump into this basically different sport and just try to understand everything. But if I kind of get like the mainstream clips of like, wow, that's actually really impressive. That's really cool. And then like Colin said, get that hands-on experience. Well, let me go to some of this stuff. Let me see what it's all about. Then you can start to build that kind of fan base. But it all starts with, kind of that posting of information, whether that's clips or whatnot. But if no one has any hands-on like that eye grab, that eye catching moment, then no one really wants to kind of go to that kind of deal.
And Christian, I remember you were talking about those tennis rallies, and I remember one way that I've seen how tennis promotes the wheelchair is that they'll have like the best player, Novak Djokovic, best player in tennis. They'll have him try to play
Yeah.
in a wheelchair tennis match against like the best guy in wheelchair tennis. And I've seen where Novak Djokovic will just get out of his chair and just spike it.
Yeah, I've seen that clip.
And so I think that's a really cool way to like show how that they can kind of show the just the difficulty that how yeah, they do let the ball bounce twice, or sometimes how in wheelchair basketball how they pick up their dribble for a second and then again and start dribbling again. There's still so much skill that goes into these types of sports. So to put these like athletes or these Paralympic athletes, to put them against uh the athletes of able-bodied athletes, um, to put and still show that there's still so much skill that goes into it. I think that's one big way that they can promote these types of sports.
Well, and also like from a tennis perspective, they play the same days and they play the same events. Like Championship Sunday is still Championship Sunday for the wheelchair tennis players. And I think that that's awesome. You get you, when you go to those tennis tournaments, for the people who don't know, like you buy a pass for X amount of time to go to X amount of matches. So you can get access to the grounds and go and check out these Paralympic players at the same time as you can check out, some of the best other players in the world, which it is huge. It has to be huge for the exposure of those great athletes, you know, when other Paralympic, golf's not playing, golf may not be a great example, but golf's not playing the same time and the same course,
Yeah.
as potential other unable athletes and NBA, they don't, it's not like a girls varsity game before the boys varsity game, it's not like right before the NBA games. I think tennis really does the right way. And essentially because they're more able to than other sports, but that's always been a really
Well, the last subject that we'll talk about is rules and regulations for these. And what do y'all think? Like, should there be like different categories or different levels based on your disability?
I think probably for sure. Because I'm thinking like, let's say if there was like a basketball or like a wheelchair basketball league, maybe someone that was just born, like without the ability to walk and like still has like full like cognitive ability, like from like the waist up, would be like way more capable of maybe like a veteran that like lost like his ability to walk and has like PTSD or something, or I mean, like not to like joke about it, but like like there's definitely levels to it. So like, yeah,
I agree. I think that there definitely should be. I think it's cool how they have like a point system that like they cap off more able-bodied people um in certain sports, and they have like a point scale of like of your disability. Um and I just have a quick question. Who would y'all say is like y'all's favorite adapted sports athlete? Do y'all have any?
that's uh I couldn't tell you besides like that girl in that movie that got her arm bitten by the shark.
Oh, Bethany Hamilton. I
Yeah.
think, yeah, that's
Have y'all seen that dude who runs track at Texas that has like two prosthetic legs?
yeah, he's got
Oh my
no
God.
legs. He's got those ones with like the swoop
Yeah,
on
the
the bottom.
spikes.
Yeah.
See him on TikTok all the time.
I know this is not gonna say, but there was one like Paralympic like sprinter who like killed his wife. This is not gonna be like I've heard about it. I don't know. There was this one and he somehow got away with it. It was a weird thing. It was like some
I
it's like
like or,
no, go ahead. It was
I like this girl named Trisha Zorn. She's like the best swimmer ever. She has 55 medals.
Oh
That's
wow.
How
crazy.
much how
Yeah,
much of a advantage would she have to get to like take on Michael Phelps? Like, do we give her like a full lap, or how do you make that competitive?
I
How do
don't
you
know,
think?
maybe like
Well, what's her disability?
I don't I think it's something to do with her legs.
Okay, but it's like she's not like she has like her legs and her arms.
Uh, I'm not 100% sure.
There there was this basketball player. I think he's still playing now, but he only has like one arm. I can't remember the dude's name.
Oh,
Oh yeah.
But yeah, he
I
only
know
has
what you're
one
talking
arm.
about. Yeah, no.
He's a freak. Like
Yeah,
he's
and
a
then there was
Yeah, I
Shaq Griffin in
saw.
the NFL.
Oh,
yeah, and guy like Shaq Griffin. I
Oh,
mean,
didn't he play at UCF?
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
a
Oh,
And
dog.
they
didn't
won
his
the.
brother got drafted to the Seahawks or whatever?
yeah, they
Yeah.
both did.
Yeah, I think
His brother
it's
still played on the Seahawks. I think maybe he
no.
either got
I think
cut a couple years ago or I don't know.
Yeah, I think so.
but
Hey,
I
man.
think
I haven't
it's
heard about them in a while.
yeah. I
Yeah,
think
that
the
was a crazy shout.
Yeah.
yeah
Yeah, no, but Emmanuel Hansel was the dude that was
yeah.
playing at
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
like
Man, that's
Northeastern
Dude,
State.
he was tough. He
Yeah.
was
I remember
super
watching
tough.
his high school
I
stuff.
think
Like
he
he
transferred to
wasn't.
Austin P and just never really did anything.
Yeah,
In high school, didn't he like windmill on somebody?
Yeah, he was
probably.
pretty good.
yeah.
Like,
I
how do
remember.
you? I don't know.
I don't know. I just don't know, like, cause like I always thought, like when I saw like his highlights, I'm like, how do you go back to the other side? Like, how do you dribble back to the other side? Wouldn't the dude just shade inside and then he would do like a crazy crossover and go back inside? I'm like, that's insane. And then he would dunk on somebody. I'm like, that's. I think he averaged like almost like 20 something points a game. I'm like, dude, that's insane. I'm like, I can barely shoot with two arms and he's straight money with one.
Yeah.
Well, I think that wraps up our round table for this episode. So stay tuned to see our guests in a little.
All right, guys, welcome back to In Valley. We have a very special guest, social media sensation Kevin Walsh, who has just under 920,000 followers on TikTok, accumulated just under 50 million likes. Also a vice president of a very great organization called The Walk, which does a tremendous job of promoting college athletes, professional athletes, testimonies, and their walk with Christ, and getting into inner city children and developing camps to spread the word of God and give kids a little bit of that side of the athletes and their walk with Christ. They've served over 1,000 kids, and they have just over 100 million views on their podcast. So thanks, Kevin, so much for taking your time out of your day to join us.
Oh man, it's a blessing to be here. I'm excited, boys. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So just go ahead and dive right in. Obviously, you've had a ton of great experiences in your life, interviewing different people and being on your podcast and traveling all over the country. I just want to ask quickly, like, who was your favorite person that you've ever gotten a chance to sit down with, maybe your best conversation or anything like that?
Man, that's a good question. Well, I've been very blessed to have interviewed a lot of different guys because I think over the past year and a half, probably interviewed personally probably somewhere between 50 and 70 guys. And it's tough because some of the best stories are from some of the guys who maybe aren't the biggest name guys. But at the same time, what's cool is when you can see a big name athlete who also carries himself like very humbly. And you get to see like, oh, like they really are just a normal guy and that they really don't think of themselves too highly. And so I would say the one that probably sticks out the most is Caleb Downs.
Mm,
I'd say Caleb Downs because, well, so for those of you guys who don't know, he's actually entering the NFL draft this year, and he's going to probably be a top 10 pick. And he was Ohio State star safety last year for the football team. And he was an amazing interview because one, he was really, really strong in his faith. And so it seems like God was really teaching him a lot of things just in his life that he was able to really just dive deeper on and really just bring a light to. But I would say just really being able to talk to him, you can see how just the way that he can communicate, the way that he handles himself is just like really professional. And you can tell that he's just like light years above, like in his maturity level. And so I love getting to know him. I love talking to him. So I would say he probably stood out the most.
yeah, that's awesome.
My question is, what does your like typical day look like?
Oh, that's a good question, Ethan. Yeah, so it's kind of funny. It really, like every day I wake up, I feel like it's just extremely different because as you kind of mentioned, I kind of do two things. I do the social media content is kind of part of my life, and then running the Walk Foundation is kind of the other part. And so I almost feel like well, okay, I guess I'll break it down this way. When I wake up, I have a lot more flexibility than most when it comes to like the way I conduct my days. So I don't feel like I have to necessarily conduct my itinerary of my day like around many other people. But I do have deadlines I set for myself. So a lot of days I'm waking up and in the morning after I'm getting into the Bible, I'm editing a clip or two for the Walk Foundation to post on our social media channels because I still do all the editing for it. We're definitely still in kind of more of a startup phase over the last year and a half. So haven't had a chance to really outsource that to somebody that also, we think could do a really good job and pay them that way. So I start with editing the walk content, and then in the afternoon is when I'll typically do some more editing on the side of my personal content. So doing a lot of coverage here in the state of Ohio on high school sports or different towns or things like that. And then, on the busiest of days, I'd find myself like attending like a high school sporting event to do coverage in the evening on a night. So, I mean, I just covered high school basketball this entire weekend, but like Friday night football games and high school football time is a busy time for me. And I'd say that's kind of how a typical day goes for me, Ethan.
Thank you.
Hey Kevin, I was just wondering, what inspired you to get into social media in the first place?
Man, it probably started back in middle school for me, truthfully. That was thought was wanting to be in sports media. And so I wanted to be able to have a voice in the sports world. That was like my ultimate goal. And so back in those days, like the first thing I kind of jumped on was doing some like Instagram football edits where I'd like edit players, like,
Yeah,
putting like skins on them, like doing the whole shebang there. And, my goal was just that like the player would like the post, whatever it was, with my, 500 followers and just trying to get them to notice. But then Vine was the big thing when I was in middle school. So I don't know
yeah.
how many of you guys know about Vine. I know it's a little bit
Yeah.
Yeah,
probably
I
more
mean,
I
Yeah.
so Vine was my jam in middle school where I made like sports edits for 7 seconds in middle school. And at the time, I think I grew that to like 17,000 followers, which at the time I
Okay.
was like, yeah, I'm the man. Like 17K as a seventh grader. Like I thought I was super cool. Uh, but at the time, and then Vine disappeared. And so, but once like high school came around, I was like, okay, I have some skills, like I have a passion for it, but I don't know what it looks like. And so, I dabbled doing some like YouTube podcast stuff because at
Hmm.
the time, like fantasy football and like football podcasters were kind of like the thing then a little bit. And I was like, oh, maybe I want to do that. But where it really changed was freshman year of college at Ohio State, when I I've been listening to you guys maybe know Gary Vaynerchuk, Gary V. He's pretty famous online, and I was listening to him talk a lot, and he kept talking about how TikTok was just like really under. There weren't enough creators on TikTok for how many people were using the app. And so it was a lot of dancing videos and like comedy videos at the time. Like that was kind of the jam back in, so this would have been 2019, like fall of 2019. And there weren't a ton of people making sports content. And so I kind of just took a leap of faith where I was like, you know what? Like maybe I should just try to be like one of the like have a little bit of the first mover advantage on TikTok when it comes to sports. And so I was like,
Hmm.
okay, like I'm probably gonna look weird doing this a little bit. Like not many people are really posting sports stuff. So I started with fantasy football, and it was doing pretty well. And then I started posting NFL content right after that. And so that started really blowing up. And then from there, I was like, okay, I think social media is like my thing. And it's definitely changed over the years. Like I would have never thought I'd be doing what I'm doing right now because it's kind of shifted from fantasy football to NFL, now to doing a lot more high school and more like Ohio-based stuff. But
Yeah.
it's really shifted. But I would say. Um, I always kind of had a knack for it. I didn't know it would necessarily be social media, but that's obviously kind of how things have transpired.
I
All
think
right.
one thing, just quickly before the next question, I feel like one thing that always stuck out for me before even we met, um, like your tagline at the beginning, how you introduce your videos is always like so unique that I feel like when I told my buddies, I was like, you guys won't believe who came over and filmed a podcast at our house or whatever like that. They were like, I told them your name and they were like, who? And I showed them a video and they were like, oh my gosh, I know that guy just like within the
Yeah.
first 3 seconds. So,
Yeah.
how did you determine your style off those podcasts really early? and keep it going to make sure that people recognize your clips within the first like couple seconds.
Yeah, so Chris, are you speaking more to the Walk Foundation or are you speaking more to like my own personal
Just your
stuff?
personal, yeah, your personal
Yeah.
stuff.
So well, actually, it's kind of funny. I got this purple light on behind me. That was actually kind of part of my, a little bit of my theme early on in my content journey was this purple light right behind me that I'm using right now. And
Uh,
I think I really found that, as I was learning, I would kind of find what worked, and I was like, okay, this kind of works. And so it was
yeah.
a little bit more of kind of finding the template of, okay, this works, so I'm gonna kind of repeat this
Mhm.
and just kind of keep repeating it because I think that's one thing I would say with like people I would give advice to with trying to grow on social media is I think people need to spend a little bit more time really analyzing what truly like what type of their videos have worked a lot better for engagement and also views and really analyze it and be like, man, like why did this work? Or like what and trying to think of it as like from like a person perspective, like somebody who's watching this, like why would they want to keep watching? And every single moment throughout the video, thinking like 10 seconds in, 15 seconds in, 30 seconds in, like why would someone continue to be watching at this point? And so even for you, like you said, the first 3 seconds, I noticed that at about like pretty much the most information I could give somebody in the first 5 seconds to be like to really just kind of capture somebody's attention where they're kind of thinking like what like oh, okay, that's enough for me to care, but I need to close this loop, like I need to know like how this ends, or I need to know where uh like he left a little bit out that I need to know the answer to. And so that's kind of how I found my jam when it came to like the starts of the video. And then it's funny though, I like literally can't even go back and watch my old videos, like they make me cringe so bad, but I think in a lot of ways that's a good thing because like it means I'm getting better.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh, Kevin.
Yeah.
First of all, I love the way that you use your platform to glorify Christ. I think that's really cool. And also, one question is that I saw where you went to the wheelchair basketball game in Ohio, because we're going to be talking about that in the podcast as well. What was that atmosphere like, and what was kind of different about it from like a normal basketball game?
Oh, Daniel, that's a rocking question. It's actually funny how that came about because I had I'll kind of explain it a little bit and I'll dive into what you said. So I was looking online for like I read sometimes. So in high school sports, there's like these like forums that these old men always talk about like high school sports in that like really are diehard high school sports people.
Yeah.
These dudes have been watching for 50 years, you know, like whatever. But I noticed some person had been posting about the wheelchair basketball league in Ohio for a little bit, and I was like, man, like that's kind of unique. And I was like, you mentioned my faith, like something that's really just really important to me is to really just bring light and just spread a lot of joy through my content and really
Right.
and just really be an encouragement to the kids and the athletes. And so I was like, man, what an amazing opportunity to be able to, maybe if it's just covering one game this year, like in the wheelchair basketball league. And so as I looked into it, I saw that the top two teams in the state of Ohio were playing against each other on a Friday night during the season. And it was kind of hard for me because I was like, man, like this is going to be during, it's a bit of a trade-off because I could go to either like a really big normal high school basketball game or I go to the wheelchair basketball game. And it was a hard thing to decide between because I was like, man, like, should I really go to a wheelchair basketball game instead of going to like this huge, these five-star recruits are playing in this big game? But I was like, no, I felt like God was really telling me, like, man, you should go to this wheelchair basketball game. And so I reached out to the person who runs it and I was like, hey, I want to be able to cover the wheelchair basketball game, but I was like, hey, I want to bring a huge crowd. Like I want a lot of people to come. And so fortunately, a lot of these high school kids, they have like student section Instagrams these days. And so I reached out to a ton of the student sections and I was like, hey, I'm coming to this game. You guys should pack it out. Like you guys should come to the wheelchair basketball game. Like I want this to be a really awesome experience for these kids. And so a ton of the high school kids came and really packed out the student section. And it was from what the kids told me and what the president of the foundation or of the organization said. They said this was it was the most packed wheelchair basketball game they've ever had. And so that was awesome. And so the kids like absolutely loved it. And I would say like you really could just feel the presence of the Lord there because obviously like these guys are athletes, guys and girls, but they are disadvantaged. But it was cool because there are some able-bodied players who play as well. So it's like probably half athletes who are disabled and half who are what they would call able-bodied. But the able-bodied players, I think, can only score like 6 points, and you'll only can have them on the court for like less time. But what I would say is it was really cool to see like other high school kids come together with the disabled kids to be able to like just show them their support and like to build those friendships. And so overall, the whole environment, I would say was awesome, just because you could just feel a sense of joy and like it was just so much positivity in the room. Like it wasn't about there was no heckling, nothing, none of that. It was like, man, let's just come here and let's support these kids, and they seem to have a great time.
That's so cool.
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
I can go next. Do you have any like people that you look up to in the sport media world?
That's good, Trey. Well, the first one, the first one that I looked up to was that really like wanted me to get into the space was the Fantasy Footballers podcast. That was like the first start for me who I looked up to, just because I'd listened to them throughout like all of high school, and I was like, man, I would love to be able to do what they do. Some other people I look up to, I uh, I look up to Joel Klatt a lot. He's a college football analyst for Fox. I love the way he handles things. I think he goes about things in a really great way. I think he does a really good job too of like glorifying Christ while being in the football world, because I don't think it can be easy as a Christian to kind of label sports as being a bit of a distraction or that it can be a bit of an idol for a lot of people. And a lot of people, it is. Just being truthful, it was for me in my life. But the way that Joel really balances like just a true like having a love for the game or like appreciating sports for like what they're good about and like the community side of things, but at the same time like understanding like hey overall it's just a game. So I would say I really look up to Joel Klatt. I can't really say like there's a ton of people doing exactly what I'm doing right now that I'm necessarily trying to be more like, but I can say that like Joel Klatt sticks out. Like I said, the fantasy footballers, and then who else? And then I guess being an Ohio guy, like just Kirk Herbstreit always, just because he's from Columbus, Ohio, like he went to Ohio State, and so I've always just kind of looked up to him and been like, okay, well if he did it from Ohio, I think I can do it too. So yeah, it's good
Awesome.
try. Thanks, man.
Thank you.
And I'll finish up with the last question. So you talked a lot about like the plethora of different sports you covered, whether it's different levels, high school, college, those kind of things. What is overall your favorite sport? Whether whatever level that is, or even if it's like high school football is like your favorite, like is there a certain level or is there a certain sport that you love to cover?
Yeah. Uh, Man, I'll give you a little bit more there, Brandon, just because there is one that sticks out. I would say overall the sport that I love the most is football. The sport that I love the most is football, especially just because I've covered that on all three levels now. Like I've covered that. Um, I spent 2 years traveling while I was actually junior and senior in college. I traveled to a primetime NFL game every single week of the NFL season. And so I've traveled and been to like every stadium and I've really like experienced everything like with the NFL. And then college, I've got had the opportunity to interview so many college football players. So I've really been able to like see that side. And then high school football, where I attend the past 2 years, I've been to games, every Friday night the past 2 years. And so football as a sport would be my favorite. I'll be real though, if I had to be more specific than that, like I truthfully would say high school football. Just the reason why I'd say that, and I know it's not like the biggest entity, but I will say I think everybody can look back on high school football, and there's just something so American about it, something so pure about it. Everyone has memories from going to high school football games and just the level of being there with your community, with your classmates, cheering on your classmates, and just like you're playing with kids that you grew up with for 15 years, and so I think there's just something so cool about that. That's just something I love about it is that it truly keeps like the essence of the game like just very pure for like the love of the game and the love of like the people in your community. So that's probably my favorite. I will say though, a little just honorable mention. I covered my first couple swim meets this year, and I got to say, man, those were pretty electric. I'm not gonna lie. I'd literally never been to a swim meet in my life, but I went to my first two this year, and I was like, man, like these kids are actually pretty good athletes, and I didn't give them enough respect when I was in high school. So yeah,
That's fair enough.
yeah.
Good stuff, dude. Well, all right.
Um,
So off the topic of um more of like your work and what you've done and everything like that. How has your brackets, if you've made any, for college basketball March Madness looking this year? Mine's pretty busted up.
Yeah, I'm glad you asked because my bracket's doing amazing right now. I think
Who
I'm
do
in
you
the 97th percentile right now.
who do you got winning? What was the secret to
So
picking it this
I
year?
hate to reveal this publicly as a Buckeye myself, but I took that team up north to win it all.
Oh,
Oh
And
wow.
so you're actually the first public mention I've made of that. So hopefully
wow.
no pitchforks are at my house tomorrow.
I was gonna say
But
good thing we're not gonna get a lot of views on this, so you may not have too many burnt things in your
uh,
yard tomorrow morning. I
that,
don't know if you'll have to worry too much, but
I
that's
mean,
good.
if it makes you feel any better, I picked South Carolina to go all the way in the women's every year. So
I think I take them, but I think I did make a women's one. I think I might have took South Carolina as well. But I can say my pick of the tournament so far has been I still have all my Elite Eight left, and so I actually took Nebraska to beat Florida in the Sweet 16.
wow.
So
wow.
my bracket's actually looking like pretty gnarly right now.
Yeah, I had Vanderbilt beating Florida, so that half court shot would have been so huge for me.
Oh, dude, so you were just on the other side of it. I could
Yeah.
have sworn when I watched that, I was like, that shot is going in. And when it didn't go in, I was like, thank you. But sorry, Colin.
Yeah, no, it's all right.
We had people in our living room like over there was some sort of meeting or something like that, and I was watching the Iowa Florida game in my room, and they made that play at the end to get that layup, and I was like trying to hold it in. I was like, oh my God. Oh my
Crazy,
God.
man.
That was super wild. Out of a timeout too. It was a great play call.
Yeah, it's real. I mean, if you really think about it, the Big Ten has been doing pretty well, actually.
Yeah,
They
they
really
haven't had
have.
anyone win it since 2000, which is crazy to
Is
think
that what
about.
it is since
Yeah,
2000?
Michigan State.
Dang, okay, so it's been a while. I guess so. I'm rooting for the Big Ten this year then.
Yeah.
I mean, Wisconsin went out early. They went out to High Point, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, Nebraska, Iowa, Michigan State, Illinois, Michigan, all still dancing. So we'll see.
Illinois looks real. I was at the games in Greenville. Uh, my dad went and he was sending me videos and he said Illinois was just like kick ass. Like they were just like insane across the board.
Wow,
Like just studs. Like they're really fun to watch.
dude, I'm took them to my championship game.
Well,
So,
I have Houston win it all, so I think that their game against Houston is going to be incredible.
well,
I have
Colin,
Illinois taking it all for me.
I hope that I hope the Illinois game goes my way as well because you took
Yeah.
Houston and
Yeah.
Vandy, and I took Nebraska and Illinois. So,
I
uh,
need I need a Duke Michigan final, and
Duke,
I need
Michigan. Wow.
Michigan winning it. I have two brackets. My best one's 94%, and that was my final. So I'm with you
All
on a
right,
Michigan game. Let's do that.
that
I don't
sounds
want to say
good.
go blue because I don't like
Don't
Michigan
don't
or
say it.
Ohio State, but
What? Hey,
Clemson and Ohio State have had some beef over the years,
dude,
man.
there is some beef, man. I
Yeah.
thought about that when I was in Clemson when I was down there. I was like, man, like I want to hate Clemson, but like, man, this campus is beautiful.
Yeah.
I was
It
thinking
is.
about putting on my back wall here. I just wanted to put 31-0
Oh,
to remind you
don't even remind me,
of
bro.
that Fiesta Bowl game, but
Get out of here, dude. Get out of here. We got gypped, man, on that fumble call against you guys that
oh
one year.
no.
That was that was
Oh
Oh,
that was so bad. That was the worst call
horrible.
ever, man.
yeah.
Did that fumble cause Justin Fields to throw that pick? I'm just wondering.
Well, get out of here. Get out of here, man. I gotta forget, man. I'm talking. I need to forget the Tigers, man. Or else I'm gonna be leaving from this call. I'm just kidding. That's good,
I mean,
man.
I can't hate too much. They did spin back and get us the second time. They did spin back around and we
Yo, this.
going through.
I will say, man, you guys totally let down this year.
Oh,
I could
yes.
not, like I was like all in on like, man, Clemson's gonna be so good this year. They're bringing guys back, Peter Woods, Cade Klubnik. Like this
Well,
is gonna
that
be
LSU Clemson game at home, first game was supposed to be like national championship preview. And, I went to that game, I was thinking like, oh my gosh, this could be the best game
dude.
since like 2016 Lamar Jackson Louisville and Death Valley, and then we
Yeah.
got totally
Yeah.
skunked.
Well, it was just I think a lot of it was just development issues. At least that's how it felt to me, just watching it the whole season. Because I remember my friend who works for Clemson's social media team. Every time I came up to him, he was just like, it's natty or bust." I was like, okay. I didn't want to buy in, but I was like, all right, I'm all
Yeah.
in. You keep telling me it's natty or bust, and then we
Oh,
got packed up. We almost got packed up by Troy.
it was
Uh,
bust, man. Big bust.
That watching that Syracuse game at work, like I've never felt worse. Like when they no, I legit have never been so mad. Like when they did that onside kick on us, I was astonished. I couldn't believe it. I was like, they don't they don't respect us at all.
Oh, man, 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 man. Well,
Quickly has become a depressing podcast episode towards
I
the end.
know.
Yeah.
It has. It has. Well, my Buckeyes will
So,
continue to be good, so we're fine.
so obviously, we've talked a lot about your faith and how passionate you are with spreading the word of God. A little bit, about us that you got to root for. I know you're an Ohio State fan, but Cade obviously does a very good job
Hmm.
of putting himself second in his work. Obviously, he hasn't had a great, junior senior season like we thought, but he did one of the best jobs in the country of just saying, I'm second, whatever happens, and it's not my plan. So
Yeah,
I think that was really
dude.
cool, just for him to do. It's really hard to do that through struggles. And obviously it would have been great if he could have done that and thrown for 400 yards and a couple touchdowns every game. Um,
Mhm.
but I thought that was really impressive this year.
Oh, 100%. Well, because even you see it, and I think it's something that we just have to be aware of as Christians, in at least in the Christian athletic space, is that it's starting to become a lot more just cool, or a lot more like fitting in now for a lot of like athletes to want to like, but it to like, it's easy like, oh, after a win to be like, oh yeah, like praise God for, for getting us this win, and thank you, like, shout out to my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, which is actually amazing. It's amazing to hear that. But it's a whole nother ball game to do it even through the loss. And so I think for Cade this year, you're right. I think that's so I think it was special to see, even though it's not going to get the attention that like
Yeah.
not going to get the attention like it gets when you go on and win a national championship and everyone's like, "Wow, the national champion just shared the name of Jesus on the stage." Like that's awesome. It's not going to get the attention like that. But like someone like Cade to like just continue to like give it all to the Lord, even through like the disappointment. I think it just says a lot about him, and I think it's going to serve him well too. Like just in because ultimately like this game comes to an end. This game comes to an end. It will for Cade Klubnik, even if he goes on and plays 10 years in the league or whatever it is, like it's going to come to an end. And the reality is like all he's going to be able to lean back on is his faith. So I think that's awesome. And I wish I would have been able to interview Cade. Didn't make it happen,
Yeah.
but I will say Caleb Nix, though, was an awesome interview at your place. And so I was blessed to be able to.
Dude, I wanted to stick around and listen to that so bad. I knew there was going to be some straight fire just in that interview. I
Dude,
got a chance to listen to it after, but yeah, that was a real shame. I hated that I missed that out.
yeah. Well, good thing there was a video recording of it. And you were like, oh, that's my living room right there.
Yeah, yeah, there you go. I saw you guys take my football helmet and put it in the back just to have a little bit
Yes.
of Clemson in there.
Dude, it was beautiful, man. It was exactly what it needed.
That's awesome. Well, if anybody doesn't have anything else, um, we really appreciate you coming in and sharing some wisdom on your experience and pretty much what this whole class covers. You're a total pro. We really appreciate you coming in here and speaking on everything. Join us later for our next episode that'll be coming out here in a few weeks. Uh, Special guest TBD, but we'll see how that goes. And again, just one more thank you, and hope you guys have a good rest of your day.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you.
you so much, Kevin.
Appreciate you, Kevin.
And guys, message me at all if you ever need anything or just whatever.
Of course.
Like, I check my DMs like very frequently, and so I'll obviously remember you guys. So, what's it called? Shoot me a message if any way I can help you guys, or just anything you ever just need advice on or whatever, connections or anything like that. Just let me know.
Awesome,
Okay,
man.
sweet.
Good.
Thank you,
Appreciate it,
man.
man.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
thanks, guys.